Hey, Garcia, how's it going? All right, you? I'm doing well, thank you. Good, good.
Jerry.
Hi, how
How
are
are you doing?
you? All right, how are you doing?
Good.
Hi.
Gloria, I need to get my packet. My packet? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we have to choose by
Thank you. Sorry. That's pretty good. And then that means
It's kind of a. Square.
All right. Good, good. Right.
So it's gonna. But yeah, I just. realized the- and people that's not. Just like,
when you just time it. And I'm trying to go to a class.
how are you? Just me, yeah. How have you been?
So one of these.
He doesn't.
No, that's how I know he's talking about. Sure.
So try to move it along together.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of different groups.
Just like that, like three.
Yeah.
He wanted to make it, we should go outside. Drink water. Eating. I went to Sorry, 5 years ago. Yeah, I was looking for.
You're gonna have to start moving it around slower.
He was functional, he just crazy. Like, he came up and I watched him, and he went to the bathroom and he just.
I know. How they go.
They're going good. Working. So I'm talked, so now I know classes that we can, but it is gonna
But I don't know this.
Gloria, are you going to the Redoso conference? Are you going to the Redoso conference? Okay.
Let me know if you're.
Well, I was looking at the Hotel Elegante, but I'm gonna call Elegante, the hotel, so it's not available. Because I'm looking,
They're just having people, yeah, the sponsors and Dr.
okay, so I'm gonna have to look for a hotel near there.
That was a reasonable price.
Okay, it's near the convention center? Yeah, because I probably will be dropped off, so I won't have a vehicle.
You ready for today?
So that's it. Because I was wondering about how, if there was Uber in Redosa or something, you know. So, so okay.
Jerry, are you gonna
Well, I was thinking there was a hotel nearby, but there's
No. I'm trying to think where we stayed last time, but that was. Yeah, I know too. I just don't know.
yeah. Because the last time I was in Redosa, I stayed at the hotel and just walk over to the
Yeah.
convention. So I'm trying to figure out.
Find where to go. Yeah. Well, I have to figure that out too. I haven't.
Yeah. 'Cause I thought that the hotel would be available, but I guess not. So
No, they just do like the guys putting it on and then the vendors. So they like put you in certain places. But
yeah,
I thought they had a list.
yeah. There might be one on the municipal league site. Yeah, so I'll look at it and see.
Test, test, test. Oh, is that what you're trying to do? I don't know what that was. Because it's a 41J. I've never paid attention to what my office was right here. It was amazing. They hired directly right into
My color.
I just looked at all these things because it feels like every time you ask a question, I'm
It's very I'm good. Well, I'm hired today. Yeah. Finally. I mean, it's very good. You want to wear everything. You want to do Yeah. I don't even know.
My section said,
How are you?
Because she's the one that she native the next year, and yeah, because I can say that we're talking about the data, I pull up something and right away, oh, this is absolutely so much. But I mean, just your mindset. But it's how you get the test, because you're not just like, it is like, it's just like, but then I work in. Please show me how it works. Yeah.
It has a seal, though this one doesn't because.
She doesn't know what
It would be more so just dating yeah, and be able to clock it. Okay, I love it.
That's just being like, it's in it.
Exactly.
So you want that, you really want to.
Yes. So be able to climb.
that mean? You can't
I'll
vote?
explain it here. Yeah. My notes. Trustee, how are you today?
Good evening.
Sure. Trustee.
Okay.
Let me go around and grab some real quick.
Been running around all day.
That's a good sign. I hope my texts aren't going through for someone that I'm trying to verify information for. Thank you.
All right, everybody's here. Are we on? All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. Today is Monday, July 28, 2025. The time is now 5 o'clock in the evening. We are here at the Mesilla Town Hall for our regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting. The first item on our agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next order of business is roll call and determination of a quorum. Gloria, if you would, please.
Mayor Hernandez,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Mayor,
Present.
Trustee Cadena,
Present.
Trustee Johnson here,
Here.
Trustee Nevares,
Present.
Mayor Gonzalez.
Great. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is changes to the agenda and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevares. And I do have a change to make to the agenda, and that is that we need to have items 8 and 9 for closed executive session and actions that may arise as a result of closed executive session removed from the agenda. Are there any other changes to the agenda? if we can, there's a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, second by Trustee Nevadas, but if we can have an approval of the, or a motion and a second for approval of the agenda as it has been amended as
So
well.
moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor for the amended agenda by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, second by Trustee Cadena. Gloria, if you could roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 And thank you very much for approval of the agenda as it's been edited with the removal of items 8 and 9 on the agenda itself. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, which does include the BOT meeting minutes from July 14th, approval of purchase order, purchase requisition for Moles and Corbin for Calle de Oeste reconstruction in the amount of $6,418.76. Approval of purchase requisition for Moles and Corbin for on-call services for $6,059.71. Approval of business license number 1394 for 1730 Tierra de Mesilla, Suite 7, submitted by Rachel Floyd, an applicant looking to reopen her business biology and wellness service business in the town of Mesilla in the commercial zone. And approval of PZHAC case 062029 at 2315 Calle de John Huera, submitted by Reynaldo Garcia, requesting approval to build an addition to his primary residence in the historic residential zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevadas. And unless there's objection or discussion, the motion will carry with unanimous consent.
Well, Russell, you know what? The minutes don't look right. I mean, because we didn't have just a Kurt Scott in the public last week. Mr. Mayor, apologize.
No. Trustee.
Where are you seeing?
We'll see where it says public minutes, it says one person, and we had people speaking, and something happened to the sign-in sheet or something.
Oh, good catch. I just go right to the minutes.
So what are you?
Yeah,
sorry.
it's missing.
See how it's missing
It's
the,
incomplete.
see where it says public and there's one person?
front
and-
page.
On down here, Bert.
Yeah, on the very beginning.
Sorry.
Yeah, because you can see in the remainder of the minutes, people commenting.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't catch that. Good job.
Yes, ma'am. So the approval is on there for the BOT meeting minutes, but Trustee, what would you like action?
I think it can just be corrected at some,
Corrected
mean,
to
we-
reflect the missing information for the public in attendance.
yes.
Okay. So noted as that's on there to correct the BOT meeting minutes from the 14th to include on line 20, as it's been noted here, through 23 to include the sign-in sheets or the missing sign-in sheets and those members of the public that were in attendance. Is there any other noted changes on the consent agenda? So, Trustee, if we can have a motion for an amended approval of the consent agenda.
I'm presenting a motion to correct the mistake on the agenda. On the consent agenda, which reflects the correct addition of the BOT regular meeting on July 14th.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Trustee Cadena, seconded by Trustee Nevadas, with the changes and amendments to the consent agenda as it has been noted. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as there is no further discussion, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please, on the amended motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Mayor Porter,
Yes.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yes.
And thank you very much for approval of the consent agenda as it's been amended with the BOT minutes amended to reflect the changes. Approval of purchase order for Moles and Corbin. Approval for purchase requisition for Moles and Corbin. Approval for business license 1394. And approval for PZHAC case 062029. Next order of business is public input on cases being heard this evening. Before we start public input, I want to put this note in here. For public comment today, I will be limiting the public comment to 3 minutes total. I will ask that if members of the public would like to comment on the first order of old business concerning item number 6 concerning the court, we'll be opening a specific public comment section during that specific discussion. I'm going to be doing this in this manner in order to give the background information on the case, previous discussion, and information as a whole, so that everybody in attendance is brought up to the current discussion. So with that note, if any member has public input or any public has input on the cases otherwise being heard other than number 6 this evening, please step to the podium and state your name for the record.
With your permission, I'd like to talk about some of the road construction. I know in the past that we've been concerned about vibrational impact to some of the roads in Sea. And we continue to have heavy rollers going down the street and ask some track machines, tracks, shaped with the liabilities. And try to think about how we might be able to work around to get the contractor's attention a little bit better. And I don't know what's in place. I don't know if vibrational monitoring is happening before, during, and or after. But I'm thinking because of the repetitiveness of the impact that you all might consider some guidelines, including fines. Because the only way to get the contractor's attention, although they're doing a good job, it just takes one guy to get on a machine, roll down the road, and shake the lid out of everything. So we need to have kind of better fail-safe to be able to catch these things before they happen and turn to the contractor to realize that they can't afford to do that. So please take that into consideration. I know this is kind of first out of the barn type thing with what we're doing here. But, we're still going to have years of road improvements with heavy machinery down the street. We need to have a more effective plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Any other public input on the cases being heard this evening?
And I also serve on the mayor's ad hoc committee. I'm just speaking in support of action under new business 7A, the commemorative plaque and sign that NMSU is proposing and the Department of Transportation is putting up in honor of Mayor Dennis Taylor. I wanted to let you all please support that. We're really fortunate to have something like that in the SIA. This is a part of a statewide municipal women's commemorative project. And down here in southern New Mexico, we already have one that's kind of in an obscure location between here and Deming. And so this would be a really great thing to happen to the SIA, help us on the down tourism, and just honor a different person.
Thank you, Ms. Walkinshaw. Any other public comment this evening concerning the cases? Seeing as there is none, we'll move into our next order of business, which is old business, a discussion, and the discussion concerning the Municipal Jurisdiction Advisory Committee and Ordinance 2025-01. So to start off and to give a little bit of background information on this and what is being brought forward in this. There's the state specific statute. Hold on just one second. I have my notes. There it is. Sorry. In this, what we look at is the process is specific through a specific state statute on this, and it's concerning the courts and the possibility of having court cases heard within the magistrate court. This is coming forward as a change in state statute, and in particular concerning the courts. The first part of that process is to confirm eligibility. So the municipality must have fewer than 10,000 residents, be within 25 miles of a magistrate court, and not be covered by a home rule, territorial, or special charter, which the town of Mesilla does meet those requirements. The next item is, per the state statute, is to pass a resolution of intent for the governing body to adopt a resolution expressing the intent to potentially designate the magistrate court as a municipal court or ordinance court. And that resolution was passed on April 28th of 2025. The next item on that is per state statute is for the town to form an advisory committee. So within 15 days of the resolution, the town forms an advisory committee that is makes the municipal ordinance jurisdiction committee, which is a 7-member committee board that includes the mayor, the judge, the council, or a trustee, the Mesilla marshal, and then 3 residents that are chosen respectively by the mayor, the judge, and the board of trustees. And that was also completed there in April. The next item per the statute is that the committee of the municipal jurisdiction advisory committee, made up of the 7 members, holds a public hearing. We did post that public hearing, and it was posted for over 3 weeks in several locations, as well as online. And that public hearing was held on June 10th of 2025. And we had public feedback as well as testimony that was provided through there. The next order after that is for the committee to submit a report, where the committee prepares a report and recommendation and submits it to the governing body, the mayor and the municipal judge. So that committee had met again on 6/17 or June 17th and come to a recommendation. A report was completed, and that was presented to the recommendation was presented to the Board of Trustees in the last Board of Trustees meeting. The next part of that is in this meeting, because we did postpone from our last meeting to allow more time for further information to be reviewed, as well as all of the information as it was provided to the committee to be provided to the Board of Trustees as that was done. So the next item is for the ordinance that is in process per se, is for the governing body may adopt the ordinance, and this has to be done by a 3/4 majority vote by the Board of Trustees designating the magistrate court to hear municipal ordinance cases. If this ordinance is approved by the Board of Trustees, there's other actions that take place that would need to happen between approval of the ordinance as well as going through. It's basically attaining the Supreme Court approval, waiting for the current sitting judge's term to expire, and notifying and transferring ordinances by sending copies to the magistrate court, administrative office of the courts, and provide the magistrate court with copies of all ordinances it would be enforcing. As I noted per the last meeting, the full committee packet was handed out to the committee members that was recreated and handed out to all of the board of trustee members. This included information that was handed out during the public hearings, as well as items that were brought up and other information that's been received, as well as questions that have been asked. I want to say that in all of this as well is that please remember that as it happened during the committee hearing, as well as in our last meeting, any personnel issues or complaints specifically against any town member of the town employee or an elected official are handled through different measures. The marshal's department, the finance department are handled by the mayor and potentially the respective department head if applicable. Elected officials are either handled with complaints to the Department of Justice or the Judicial Standards Committee. And I want to make it clear that these are not a part of the process or the discussion today as we look at this. If you have any of these concerns, as they've been previously mentioned, please ensure to bring them to me so that they may be investigated accordingly. I do want to note that a lot of questions have been answered by Mr. Judge Richard Huckus, who is also with us here today. For those of you, just to give a little bit of background information on this, if you may not know Judge Huckus, he was elected to the bench in November of 2020. And prior to his election as district court judge, he worked in the 3rd Judicial District Attorney's Office, served as a judge for the Doña Ana Magistrate Court, and worked in the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department. Judge Huckus also graduated and has his JD, Juris Doctorate degree from New Mexico or University of New Mexico Law School in 1999. And he actually contacted me to give a little bit of background on this. He actually contacted me directly at the request from the current district attorney, Mr. Fernando Macias. And unfortunately, this was just a few minutes before our last board meeting was to begin. When I actually was able to speak with Mr. Huckus the following day, he mentioned that he had a team member that was present at our meeting and did listen into the last meeting and had also reviewed some of the documentation as it's been presented online. He did not have any direct questions for me, as many of the questions were answered by his team, as well as the information that was outlined in the meeting and in the posted agendas and meetings. He did, however, I did have a lot of questions for him that I did ask him specifically. And as I mentioned, he is here to answer some of those questions, but I'll answer or put those questions out there as well on this. But before I get to his questions, I do also want to note that in this, and as it has been in previous discussions as well, that the increased court costs are not just the court specifically. The court costs is due to attorney fees, an increase in attorney fees, and these are because of the cases that are being heard in the court in criminal matters in particular. So if we're having increased DWIs that are being heard by the town attorney's fees are paid through the court to increase incrementally with that. So that's what you were seeing there as those court costs. So in speaking with Judge Huckus, if the cases are filed as it's been recommended by the committee to the magistrate court, there will not be any associated fees to the town for hearing the cases, including the attorney's fees. So when we look at the court breakdown and the recap of the yearly overall recap that you have in front of you, the true amount that would be potentially saved and going back to the general fund is that full green line of funding. And if we look at it as a whole, this last fiscal year, we would have seen a minimum of $222,000 brought back to the bottom line. In previous years, in 24, it would have been $158,000. In 23, it would have been $160,000. In 22, $197,000. So quite a bit of money. With that in mind, cases are still heard in the same manner as they would be in the municipal court with minor differences. Some of the primary differences are there are 6 judges to hear all cases that come in, and all of those judges have a Juris Doctorate degree. As noted from the respective departments, from the marshal's department, we have had an average of 20 to 80 cases per month, which is more than manageable by the magistrate court. Cases are still being heard virtually, thus it would be saving officer time in court, as they can do it from their phone or computer. And this is also the same for the violators, as they have the ability to hear those virtually by the judges. Each case would also be heard with judicial impartiality and independence. And this truly means that the judges must remain neutral and unbiased in their decision-making, treating all parties fairly in legal proceedings. It's about making decisions based on the law and the facts, not personal feelings or any potential external pressures. This is crucial for the upholding of judicial impartiality and the public confidence in our legal system. Criminal and potentially criminal civil cases would be filed in magistrate court, so there would be no cost to the town for other fees such as prisoner care, transportation, or other related court fees. Those fees that the town could see as potentially being the fees would be those that however, cases are heard pertaining to codes or in tort claims, or if the town is specifically named in a case, we would still have our personal town legal representation hear those cases. However, that would be heard under the general matters as we presently hear them versus having them heard under a court related measure. As there was mentioned in previous meetings, the town would look into having a hearing examiner to hear all civil cases. The judge did note that this was a good idea, although it's not necessary, as the magistrate court can also hear all of the civil cases just the same as noted above, as long as they are filed in magistrate court. So that gives a little bit of background overall on that. Judge, I don't know if you have any extra that you may want to insight.
Yeah, the mayor, members of the board. The only correction I would have is we do have one judge who does not have a law degree.
Okay.
The other 5 are now all licensed attorneys. So we had a grandfathering of 2 judges, but now only one's not. So other than that, unless there's specific questions, we can definitely address those questions. Or if there's other questions from members of the public, I'm free to answer those questions to the best that I can.
Thank you, Judge. And trustees, as I mentioned before, I'll open up the floor to public comments on the specific hearing and case that we have in front of us today. So if you have questions, please step to the podium, state your name for the record.
First of all, thank you, Judge Hopkins, for coming. That's how easy it is to get someone to show up. I called Macias myself, and he's the one that passed it down. That's why we had that young lady over here at the last meeting. I did ask, because I was a committee member, I did ask if we can get a hold of him. It wasn't done, but you see how easy it was? Pick up a phone call. Second of all, Trustee Nevadas, you were chairman of the committee. He should have came and presented the case of the findings and what the committee presented. He didn't very say much at the last meeting. So, you know, board of trustees, mayor / CEO, I believe Trustee Nevadas was the chairman. I believe he needs to be presenting the case. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Public comment concerning the Municipal Jurisdiction Ordinance Committee and any hearings. Any other public comment? Okay. So if there's no other public comment, we'll move into further discussion amongst the Board of Trustees. Trustees, I'll open the floor to you.
I had a question on Judge Hawkins. I guess I want some elaboration on you said the ability to hear civil cases. Can you kind of elaborate more about that area?
Magistrate court is a court of limited jurisdiction. However, the statute that was referenced basically allows this this municipality, this town, to designate the magistrate court to hear cases involving the town of Mesilla municipal code. So anything involved in your municipal code, if this goes forward as the statute sets forth, then you would basically be giving the authority, the jurisdiction to the Doña Magistrate Court to hear any and all matters that arise out of the Mesilla municipal code. The mayor talked about tort claims. I don't think there's anything in the municipal code of Mesilla. I haven't gone into depth regarding tort claims. Tort claims are normally handled in our district.
Right.
But I think mainly for the town of Mesilla, you're referencing code violations. So I know there's been talk about designating a hearing officer who goes here. However, if this goes forward, any code violation in the municipal, for the town of Mesilla, could be heard in the magistrate court by any of the judges. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I have a follow-up
Yes.
relating to the municipal, our municipal code, because it's rather intricate in relation to zoning, because it's Mesilla is unique.
Sure.
So how would judges in magistrate court be able to assess? I mean, how would they approach and learn about Mesilla ordinances so that they could make rulings?
That's why the statute requires a copy of the town of Mesilla municipal code to be sent to the magistrate court and to the administrative officer court, so that we would have that information, and then it's the duty of each judge to become familiar with the code and the requirements. I'm not sure if you're intermingling planning and zoning matters, which are, I know they're part of the code, but I didn't go in and read what the planning and zoning process is as far as when matters are heard, planning and zoning. I'm assuming, Leo, you might be able to help me. There's an appeal process from the planning and zoning.
Yes.
And eventually, that will go to district court, my understanding. I did a year and a half at the city of Las Cruces as an assistant city attorney, so I served as an attorney for the planning and zoning commission at the city of Las Cruces. So that's my opinion. I don't think those matters would go to the magistrate.
Yes, planning and zoning would not, but zoning violations, when they do wind up before the municipal judge, these things could go to magistrate court.
There's a violation of the zoning code, and it's filed in magistrate court, and the magistrate judge will hear it.
When you were assistant city attorney, did you have a lot of activity relating to those type of matters?
It just varies. It would depend on the situation. Mayor talks about me graduating in 1999. That's how old I'm getting. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest, how many, but yes, we did proceed with the book violation. At the industry.
Okay, thank you.
Trustees?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I do want to start off with an apology to you because of what I had stated that in our last board meeting, and you were exactly right. When I went back and watched the video again, I saw where I had misinterpreted. So my sincere apologies for misstating that. Got several comments. In the binders you gave us, just so everybody can see what we were presented with after the last board meeting, who is Miss Allison Nichols?
Allison Nichols is one of the legal representatives with the Municipal League.
Legal reps. Okay. Let me see, where do I want to start? So in our board packet for the last meeting and for the report, was in our board packet, and it was also in this binder. We had the report from the MOJAC committee. And the dates are absolutely wrong. It said on May 23rd, 2024, the Mesilla Board of Trustees met in regular session to adopt a resolution. Then number 2 states on May 16th, 2024, Mesilla Board of Trustees met in regular session to appoint the committee members. I don't know who's not double checking, or if we have any checks and balances to review documents. On the next page, and it was page 73 in the last board meeting packets, and it was in the binder in the back of the binder rather. Number 4 states, after due notice to the public and proper and timely advertisement, a public hearing was held on June 10th, 2024. So you've got the dates incorrect, and you have the resolution passing after the committee was assigned. The correct dates should be April 28th, 2025 is when the board passed the resolution. And the committee was selected on May 12th, 2025. The ordinance is also incorrect. It states the same dates on May 23rd, 2025. So these are, the report obviously is not a legal document, but an ordinance is. So one thing is we probably should make sure our dates are accurate. As I've stated before, I'll reiterate and repeat myself yet again. I don't like the way this process was done. I don't think the judge was given due process. It was rushed. There might be errors. In my opinion, this whole process was one-sided. This binder is 99.5% for abolishing the court for money. I've been on the board for 11 and a half years. To the best of my recollection, I do not recall us having to pull out of our reserves to pay for the court and attorney fees. Previous administration always made sure that we had the courts provided. Never was this a concern. And I know, I understand, Mayor, you quote in here, your job is to run this town to the best of your ability, finances, like a business. I understand, I get it. I do the same thing with my budget at work. But this is a government entity with different branches. In our previous 2 meetings, you've mentioned how much money the town actually has. That we've always been told we've got to be conservative, that we don't have funds. And again, you've told me we do have funds. There was a process. I think the judge should have been consulted when the issues were there. I kind of, in akin to progressive discipline, try to fix the problem, resolve it, get training, try to make it successful. Don't blindside.
Point of order. So on this, and the point is that it's not, as I mentioned before, this is not based upon performance. This is not based upon the judge and his ability to do the job.
Then why was the letter
This
in here
is-
from the marshal's department?
That was because that was provided as testimony as well.
Then
Look-
it shouldn't have been put in if it's not based on performance.
But that was part of public testimony that was
One
given
letter,
as that.
one letter.
And so with that, that's why I mentioned in this is that is not part of the discussion at all, as it does not pertain to that, because there are other ways.
I disagree.
There are other ways for
It
this
was not
to be
handled
heard.
the way it should have. Due process was not awarded to the judge. I have, again, I've stated serious concerns, just like I said, and I'm not saying progressive discipline based on performance. I'm based on what methods did you utilize to fix this situation before we came to this? You as mayor to work with another elected official. And it's just one letter. And as I was always taught, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So I'll leave it at that for my comments for now. I'll let my fellow trustees.
Trustees.
Did you have any, you want to go?
I just had I guess a question about the document, the issues that that Trustee Johnsonberg pointed out about the wrong dates, that they be correct. I mean,
Everything would have to be corrected.
yes, so
And it would be corrected before it's sent off to reflect everything that is noted as that. Yes, sir.
Um, you know, from the beginning when we started this, and I know it's been a few months, and it seems slow, but something this important, I feel like needs a lot of time for us to consider and so much documentation. And I think that the problem I have and the problem that Trustee Johnson Burek has is that things have been conflated. You know, two issues have been put into the same documents. And I know that the mayor has tried to make that separate, and that feeling like he has to introduce that information because it came up in public comment, right? It came up during the committees. But I think that that's one of the big problems of this whole process, is that two issues were actually conflated together, that the statute in and of itself is not a remedy for any other issue that is being brought up, specifically, you know, personnel and or elected official problems. These two things are completely separate, but they've been conflated through this process, which is a problem. And then when there is typos and those kinds of things, it brings down the confidence that you have the information that you need to make this very, very important decision. And I know maybe I actually don't see that many youngsters, so except for you, and you, and Adriana, and you. But the rest of us have a real issue with, the rest of us learn social studies, and that all government entities, right, every municipality should have 3 branches of government, which is, right, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. So that in and of itself makes me uncomfortable, and that's part of the reason that I'm very leery about eliminating the court for Mesilla. On the other hand, the reason this statute was written was to give small municipalities a way to save money because it's so expensive. And I mean, I did
I don't know that I've done all the research that I need to do. I do feel like the committee report was lacking. I think that's no secret that a couple of us feel that way. And I don't, and I don't know that it was rushed. I don't know if we just, with everything that had to be considered, and the conflation of those two issues made it so difficult to decipher. However, I mean, it is it is costing the town of Mesilla a lot of money to process cases of a more serious nature besides and we don't know, I mean, factors that have blown up our from 75,000 in court in attorney fees to 155,000. And the reason I'm saying that is because those are the actuals. I mean, budget numbers are a little bit weird for me because I feel like it's what we actually spent, not what we actually designated for them. So, and those numbers are in this report that was given to us 2 weeks ago, and that was again in our notebook. So, I think that, so I have some, I still have some concerns. I have to kind of, as a representative, as an elected official, trying to represent citizens, right, in this town. But unfortunately, we don't have, I mean, I was actually expecting a bigger crowd just because I thought with the stuff that has been coming up with it, that it would kind of spark interest in the public, because that's part of the issue, right? Is that we're here making decisions for the 2,800 people that live here. And I think everybody agrees the police nor the courts need to make money for us. I mean, they're not in the business of making money. We're not a corporation. The police are not out for profit. And neither is the court system. But we have to be cognizant of how much money is being spent out of the town of Messilla's budget as a whole to these court cases. And the state giving us an opportunity to reduce those costs and sending them on to magistrate court. I think for sure the planning, the zoning ordinance, the zoning violations, I think, in my view, would have to stay with the town of Mesilla, because I just can't see the city of Las Cruces getting through all our zoning codes, right? And we have a difficulty translating our zoning ordinances. So the city of Las Cruces would really have difficulty deciphering our zoning codes. So we definitely have to have something built in for that. So I'm just, that's all I have for now, Mayor.
Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Johnson Bjork.
So again, going back to this letter dated June 5th, 2025, this statute went into place 2023. Granted, you didn't take office until 2024. It's just now dated June 5th, 5 days before the first MOJAC meeting. And again, Sergeant Hernandez states multiple deputies have expressed feeling discouraged, etc. So again, where is this? There's just one incident. Where's 2024? Where's anything else to back this up? Again, if it's not written, if it's not documented.
And Trustee, just as it was mentioned earlier, and it's a point of order once again, as
Yes, sir.
I've mentioned, is that this is specifically budgetary, fiscal. We are looking at the fiscal side, any of the matters as it pertains to any of the marshal's department, as they were brought up during all of the committee hearing, as it pertains to the finance department, as it was brought up through all of the committee hearing. Those are handled by myself as well as by the respective department heads if necessary. If there is an issue with the judge, that is handled through a different matter. What I have provided to you here is every little bit of information that I have received moving forward.
So why was it prevented to Mojack if it wasn't part of it?
It was part of it. It was part of the
You're saying
testimony.
now it's financial,
That was part of the testimony that was given during the public hearing.
but isn't the
As that.
testimony part of this process?
And that's what it was. If you listen to the public hearing, when the public hearing was given, there was testimony that was given that was by other members that was reflective of performance for the marshal's department. And while it's not applicable to what we are looking at today, I want to make that clear. It is something that I look into as part of that. Just as if there are issues with the judge or any of us up here that are elected, there is a specific process that handles that. If it's not applicable, it's not applicable. And that is not applicable to this at all.
I think I've made my point. Thank you. The next one is, and you brought that up, even Ms. Nichols says, generally complaints against judges would go to the state's Judicial Standards Commission. And residents might not know this, that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to get the court back if that is ever to be pursued, if it's voted down. Subsection G of the ordinance, and this is per Ms. Nichols, lays out how a municipal court could be reestablished. You would have to reestablish the advisory committee and get signatures from at least 20% of voters, which is so a little trickier than I thought to reestablish, per Ms. Nichols. Again, the judicial system, courts are not designed to be revenue producing. They are designed to administer due process and justice, not to create a revenue. And I found there was more errors in the minutes, but I think at this point is not necessary to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee.
So saying this process has been fast, it hasn't. I think the importance of going to conferences and talking to other municipalities and doing these things with the municipal league, it's important to get out of just our town, because you get all of this information and you get all of the views that towns have done before and the struggles that they're having now at these conferences, at these trainings. This has been being talked about for 2 years. This isn't something new. We hadn't talked about the possibility of doing it here, but it's come up now financially, because even if we go back, as Trustee Johnson-Burrick said, that this wasn't an issue prior, it was. And if you look at your Packlet and go through your monthly budget, I can trace all the way back for my last 4 years where this was an issue and where we were pulling out money from our general fund and reserves to cover these problems. It's all documented. This is an issue that has happened before, has been happening. And I know with some of the testaments that are in the packet, I don't think they were put there deliberately by one person. They were just brought up mainly by the judge and other testimony that they were giving. It's like public comment. We can't cut out your comment or what you say and your opinion because it doesn't fit with what we're discussing. We can't do that. So those testimonies are in the packet because it was part of what was being discussed. Doesn't mean that we're taking that into consideration. As we said, it's not applicable. That's something that's above our purview. And as far as due process, we're still allowing due process. We're allowing due process from the municipal court. So we're not cutting anybody's due process by taking away our court. We're not giving them or offering them the opportunity. It's just going through a different process somewhere else. Just based on finance, yes, it's not a revenue producing section. It never will be. I know that that was one of the judge's solutions to fix this problem was over ticketing in the community, which I don't think that's an option. And it never will be. But the finances we have cannot support that. And if we continue to have an uptick in crime, as Viviana said, there's multiple factors of why crime is going up and why these numbers are going up. We can't control that. And those numbers will always fluctuate. But it's a determination whether we can sustain that or not. And that's not something we can continue financing. Even if we pull out all our reserves and spend all our money and waste till the last cent to try to keep this going, they're going to continue to fluctuate and they're continuing to grow. You can see it within the last 5 years. So I don't think there's necessarily a solution for that, which is why this came up 2 years ago, an opportunity for municipalities to alleviate some of that hardship that we're facing, not just here, but throughout the state. And that's kind of all I have right now.
Thank you, Trustee.
I have a question for Judge Hawkins, another question. There's been a lot of talk about due process, and one of the, I believe that part of that due process is a reasonable time frame for things to get adjudicated. I hope that makes sense. But if cases moved over to magistrate court, would people going before magistrate court be unduly delayed, or what are the average time frames for getting through getting a case before a magistrate judge? And I'm looking at delays. Yes.
I can tell you that our magistrate court is busy, but I'm confident that we have the staff, including the number of judges and staff, to handle these cases. Criminal matters, when you're talking driving while under the influence, domestic violence, those cases have to be heard within 182 days. The incident is filed. Those get timely heard. In my understanding, there is no requirement for the codes cases. But as far as traffic cases get heard quickly. So I don't see any delays as far as the traffic cases. Are there other types of cases you want to inquire about? Each case type is different.
You say I understand that, but I just wanted to get an idea of if there would be undue delays for people, coming before the courts.
There are always reasons for delays. Judges have the authority to grant continuances. They follow what our Supreme Court has laid out for reasons for giving continuances. So yes, there's going to be continuances. However, I think most of the judges understand the requirement to hear matters expeditiously or as soon as possible, because justice delayed is justice denied. Whenever there's a good reason for a continuance, more than likely granted. If it's not a valid reason, or if it's a second or third continuance, then they probably won't get granted it. They'll proceed with the matter hearing.
That reasonably answers my question. Thank you.
Trustees, other questions or discussion? I'd like to just say a few things on this then. In this, as I've already mentioned, or to recount back, the numbers that are presented to you are in the recap of yearly overall review of the courts is not about running the budget. And just as I stated in our first public hearing that we had, it's not about the court running its budget, because as you see in here, as it's provided, the court budget and the court expenditures, the court runs its budget completely. It does. And in that, and the court should be proud of running that budget because they do a very effective job of running their budget. And that is a great thing. But what you do see at the bottom, to point out, and Trustee Johnson Burek, I challenge you on this, because what you do see is right above the green line where I have,
Sorry, I'm not on that same page.
it's on the budget overview.
It's section 2.
I'm sorry, still reviewing my notes
And sorry about that.
for my comments.
And just
Okay.
just in this is because, you know, what you see in that court attorney fees adjustment, these are end of year fees and adjustments that have been adjusted to meet the budget deficit. So the bars that are completed or budget adjustments that are completed in order to make the ends meet per se. So in 2022 and 23, you see that adjustment in the amount of $7,582. 23-24, you see that adjustment in $5,718. This fiscal year, you don't see that adjustment because we literally caught that before the end of the year to add that money in to make that request with you. In 2021 and 22, that's where you see that adjustment in the amount of $27,010. So these are budget adjustments in order to meet the court there. What there again, what we're looking at is because it's not about running the budget. It's about the total real cost, which is that incurred cost of the budget, the time that is done by the marshal's department, and then the attorney's fees that are related to court costs. That's that real cost. There is no revenue that comes in. We don't, as it's been mentioned already, don't even look at a revenue line. I included that in there. That way you can see literally how over time that amount goes down and how it has gone down on that. But that's just really how, so you see that the fines and fees, they're just not what they used to be in the past. And that's not about the performance of the judge.
Mhm.
That is because there is state statute that that did occur that took away certain fees from municipalities. So we no longer see those fees coming to be a part of our budget, which, as it was mentioned, is not a part of a reason why we should be ticketing by any means, and totally agree with that on that. But what we are looking at is the cost of the court, the cost of the attorney's fees, plus a little bit of time by our marshal's department is the overall cost of the operation that we have right now that can be heard in the magistrate court as long as it is entered in the magistrate court, saving that much money in the green line, as you see that potentially year over year to the bottom line for our community. A different way of spending those resources. I'd still personally, because I definitely think that our town is, I mean, we're prideful in our community, extremely prideful in what we have. So I would still recommend that the town be hearing specific cases as far as it pertains to codes through us. And this would be done through an updated nuisance ordinance, that the cases would be heard before a hearing examiner that would be contracted by the town. Because as it was mentioned by before, when we look at this, if all of the criminal cases are heard in magistrate court, and most of this and some of the civil cases could still be heard in magistrate court, depending on what they are, that would, according to testimony that was given by the judge, is that those codes cases that were heard in the town, he's only heard 2 since January. So we would ultimately have a court to hear 2 cases. And the question is in that, and the thought, and for clarity, I think that we need to wrap around the whole part of why there's only 2 codes cases. And I think that it's important to really know that in codes, just as it was stated by law enforcement, is that there's warnings that are given, right? So if you have a weeds violation or something to that extent, the codes officer is going to go out and give you a fair warning that you have a violation of the municipal code, give you the time frame to ultimately get that back up to where it needs to be, cut your weeds, do whatever you need to do. If you don't do it by that time, then he will go back out, or she will go back out, and if it hasn't been completed, do a citation. And that's where you receive a citation for that, or a fee that is associated with that, but you are still supposed to get that done. And I honestly believe that that is happening. Fees are being paid, and the problem is being resolved. Now, what you see that is heard in a court are those cases where the citation has been issued, but that resident does not believe that there is an issue, so then they have it heard within the court, and that's what's brought forward. I think for clarity, that's why we have only literally had 2 municipal cases, codes cases, that have been heard, as it was mentioned by the judge during his testimony, since the beginning of this year. Could there be more? Yes. And I think that that's why it's important that we look at what a contracted hearing examiner would be to hear those. And if we see the need, then we figure out a different way of doing that. So that's just in clarity on that and my thoughts. But if the ordinance resolution passes, then I would definitely look at submitting the necessary, or the next process would be submitting the necessary paperwork to get information from the Supreme Court, while we are simultaneously having an update in a nuisance section of our ordinance and code to reflect these changes, so that we still hear codes related cases within our community and keep that strong held integrity of what it is, as it's been mentioned already. That ordinance would have to be in place to make that happen, though. But as it was mentioned before, all of the ordinances can be 100% heard within the magistrate court. But I personally feel that we should still hear codes cases here, as it has been mentioned as well. I think that that is a great idea on that. But I don't know. I guess I want to, because I mentioned that this is a 100% in my mind. It's budgetary, it's fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility of taking care of public funding and public money and spending it accordingly and appropriately. And I think that that's, at the end of the day, what I look at and the way that I think. But I kind of want to take just a minute and just take a poll of those people that are in the room. And you don't have to participate if you don't want to. So of those of you that are in this room, if you are a Mesilla resident, would you please raise your hand? So thank you very much. So those of you that are in this room, as that, how many of you, if you would show by hands there
Point
again?
of order, Mayor, that is what public comment is for.
No, this is me, and I thank you, but it's not public comment. I am merely asking for feedback, and in that,
Not appropriate. If they wanted to give feedback, they should have done so.
I'm asking a question. And as I mentioned, if they don't have to participate if they don't want
Oh
to.
my God.
So, but in that, so point of order not recognized. So with that, as a show of hands, how many of you in this room would want to see updated wastewater infrastructure, sewer lines, water lines, roads? If you can do by a show of hands. For those of you in this room, how many want to see maybe a beautification project, updates to our parks, or any of those projects? If you would please raise your hands.
That's what public hearings are for, or work sessions,
Mhm.
to gauge the public interest.
I'm asking for my own clarity. Thank you.
We'll have a separate
In
meeting
this.
so we can conduct town business now.
So I continue on this. So, and just then I won't ask any further questions on that. But I will say that in this type of funding and in this, we look at the overall budget of the town and how the town can effectively manage and control the budget, trim unnecessary potential spending. And, we've done some of that already in finding bills that have been being paid consistently that aren't necessary, as well as contractual bases that were not being taken care of accordingly. And I think that this is somewhat similar, and we need to think about our fiduciary responsibility to the public to appropriately spend funding. And at the end of the day, it really, what I look at is, do we spend, which we can by this board, we spend another $222,000 on the court to hear potentially 2 codes cases. Granted, it wouldn't be that because there would not be all those attorneys' fees that would be implicated in there. So we would really be spending the $87,000 on that for the court budget itself. So do we continue that? Or do we turn around and potentially, as the board, decide how you want that money to be reallocated into the community, into water projects, road projects, beautification, staffing? Doesn't make a difference. However, the board determines that money to be spent. It's that much money at the end of the day. Just a responsibility as the financial board of this town. Trustees, any other discussion? All right, if there is no further discussion, trustees will move on to our next order of business. Approval of ordinance 2025-01 for the Doñana County Magistrate Court jurisdiction designation. If I can have a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevarez. What I will say is that in this, before we continue any other discussion, I did reach out again to the Municipal League for clarification, because I did have a resident bring it to my attention, because this does require a 3/4 vote, as it states in the state statute. And I wanted to get clarification, because the resident mentioned to me that as the mayor, even in a 3/4 vote of the entire board, I still only vote in the action of a tiebreaker, no matter what it is throughout. And that is what is provided to you here in follow up in state statute 3-12-2, section F. is that municipalities with the mayor-council form of government, where there is a requirement that a certain fraction or percentage of the members of the entire governing body, or all of the members of the governing body, or the entire membership of the governing board, body, or other similar language other than that requirement of a simple majority vote for the measure, the mayor shall not be counted in determining the actual number of votes needed, but shall vote to break a tie vote as provided in section 3-11-3 NMSA 1978, unless the mayor has declared a conflict of interest. So with that, in a supermajority vote of this, or 3/4 vote, the vote comes down to the full board of trustees that does not include the mayor. So that is the 4 of you voting. So it requires a passage of 3 members voting in favor. Total. If it comes to a tie, I still perform the tiebreaker at that, if it does. Just for clarification. So I do not count in this. It is 4 members. 3/4 vote is 3 of you, either for or against, however that may be. Any other discussion?
Well, I still don't understand how that could work with 4 people with you breaking a tie. I mean, I see this and I see our code. So, and I've read it. I'm just not. So if it requires 3 of us, there can't possibly be a tie.
Though there can be, trustee, because there's 4 of you present
Mm-hmm.
in that. So if 3 or 2 of you voted in favor,
Mm-hmm.
2 of you voted against,
Mm-hmm.
I serve as the final vote and tiebreaker, either for or against in that, which would constitute that 3/4 vote.
I don't. I see this, and it is from the municipal league, but I still. That's 3/5, not 3/4, and 3/5 is a lower number than 3/4.
Then that's not, because I only vote in the matter to break a tie.
But then that's just the normal. The normal.
No, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but no, it wouldn't be, because in the essence that it's still, you are a 4-member trustee board. So with that, let's give an example that if only 3 of you were present today, if that were the case, not all 4 of you present, then all 3 that are present would have to vote in favor for the measure to pass, because that would be 3/4 of the 4-member board. If there were only 2 of you present in that as a 4-member board, the measure would automatically fail because there are not 3 voting members present. I only vote in the measure to break the tie, in any measure as it is. Because, and I think that that's where we've had conflicting in the past, because even in the past, there has been votes that were done by the previous administration and administrations before that in clarity that go against this on that. But the mayor literally only votes in our form of government in breaking a tie. Does that clarify?
Well, it doesn't, because it doesn't meet, in my view, the 3/4 requirement by the state statute. You know, Mayor, because I mean, I'm sure that Rebecca Martinez is a super duper person, but that's not what the statute says 3/4. 3/5 does not equal 3/4. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And I'm not going to let this go forward, and we'll postpone it again because I'm not taking this piece of paper as when that's not what it says in the statute. That's not what practice has been. And this particular statute from the state that is allowing us to do this in the first place, it's just going to create problems for us. I know it is, because it's 3/4 does not equal 3/5. And that's what you're proposing.
Well, we can always vote and then seek legal.
I was gonna say legal is present, so if that Mr. Cabello, and then we also do have a judge present who can also potentially speak on.
Mayor, board trustees, if I answer the question, it seems that I'm a bit confused as to what people are talking about, but you're all right, 3/5 is 0.6.
Exactly. Right.
3/4 is 75.
Exactly. And I think we should stick to the math when the specific statute requires that,
No, that's my interpretation, it is like 3/5 is definitely,
lower than that.
0.6.
Exactly.
But that's the question. Is it in the state statute in 312.2? It's I'm only there to break a tie, so I'm not counted as a member of the board.
Then, when you do go into, so when you go into vote, it's still the nature of the fraction changes. Because you still- Now if you have to go in and vote at the time, that changes the vote fraction. Now, you're no longer at 4. I mean, otherwise you would have like, you have that vote, but you can't be, it doesn't make sense as a fraction.
Right.
You're vote this, you change the fraction from 4 body to 5 body.
I don't care.
I have a
what
question.
It's right
No, I
here.
know, but we did it both ways.
So we're looking at the executive branch and 4 of the legislative branch. That's 4 members of the legislative branch. The way I see it from what I'm reading here, we're looking at the 4 members of the legislative branch. The mayor cannot vote unless to break a tie because he's the executive. So 3/4 would be 3, right?
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But the second question,
I mean, I'm trying to figure this out because to me, if this is saying the mayor can only vote on when there's a tie, then you're looking at the 4 trustees. So so the only time the vote would take place from the mayor would be if there was a tie. Because you would have, if 3 of them voted, then you have the 3/4.
But that's still 3, so I don't know.
I can do some more research right now, but I just want to take a break on this, but it just seems to me that if you, the nature of the body, the way the trumpet stood up is, if mayor breaks the tie, the nature of the voting body changes from 4 body or
To 5.
body. And these special votes like a tiebreaker or any other place that has a mayor voting. So I think this might be some other ordinances that I saw where the mayor gets to vote in those types of things that change the nature of the body.
If it's a simple majority and it's 2-2 and he votes, then it's 3-2 and the measure passes. If he votes against it, then if it's a simple majority, if they're requiring a 3/4 majority, that's the number. I don't see how we can say that the mayor somehow counts as more than one person or more than one vote to make it
Well, and
3/4.
in clarity, it's four members voting. So just as you to what Mr. Cabello's saying, and to what you're saying. So 4 members, 4 board of trustees. If 3 of you vote in favor because it is 3/4, the measure passes because that is that. But if it goes to a tie and it goes 2-2, and I have to vote, the makeup now changes to
And it
five
just-
five members. And so with 5 members, that changes the makeup of that. So it is no longer 3 members that are required for passage. It would be 4. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying I'm saying that the statute itself says it has to be 3/4 of the, whatever we call the governing body, right? But and then we have this that says the mayor doesn't get a vote, totally counts. And our own code right here says when they're asking for anything except the simple majority, which is what happens sometimes with us, right? It's 2-2 and you break the tie either for or against, and that's how it goes on a simple majority. That makes sense. We are not meeting, if you vote, we are changing the number from 0.75% to 60%. To me, that's not meeting the statute. Then the math isn't there to meet the statute that the state is providing for us. So yes, in this case, I think it has to be just us. And Mayor, it doesn't make somebody, Mr. Cabello kind of agrees with that. I just don't see how you change the math when it's a requirement of the statute. That's what I'm asking.
Mayor, board trustees, I need to do more research right now to see what that is, sort of different meaning with this. Again, what's the nature of this body? Where we have a time-breaking vote. I think I need something like 15 minutes at least. It's the way to handle it. The way to handle it is
Oh, my God.
Can we open it up, public comment about the just more research? Is that possible?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Because we allowed the public comment to happen a little bit earlier. So unfortunately we can't.
Yeah.
I know you want to be correct. I agree.
I just don't
So
want this to get messed up and us,
For legal repercussions.
or whatever,
Yeah.
for the residents. We
Right,
have to be
right.
accurate. We have to be
So-
accurate. We have to be to the letter of the law. And whatever interpretation that is, which I'm not an expert, but I can do math.
people-
The majority vote of the members present.
Trustee Nevada's,
I'd like to make a motion that if the attorney wants, 10 minutes?
well,
I'm just making the motion. I don't know if it'll pass or not, but
I'm not
just to allow for,
seconding.
I'll second it.
trustee,
But I'm voting no.
on that, rather than
that's
calling a recess, maybe a table to hear it later to give him the
okay,
opportunity.
so it would be changing my motion to table this until the attorney makes some,
So-
provides us some findings. That's a motion to table.
Second.
Motion on the floor to table the discussion to be heard later in this meeting to allow legal representation to review the necessary documents. Motion on the floor for tabling by Trustee Nevada's, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. Discussion on tabling.
I don't want to table it for this meeting. We're under enough pressure. People have heard enough for the attorney to come back. Who's he going to call right now? You know what I mean? I get it. With all due respect, I didn't mean to say it that way. But I feel like this is a bit like they wrote the statute. They know how we have our municipalities set up. And they're all different, right? Roswell has like 15 people on there. So you guys could be dealing with 15 of us. So I'm just saying, let's just postpone this till August 11th and just get our heads around the whole thing, get a few more public comments, get that straightened out to the letter so that we know what it looks like.
But
For sure.
Trustee, point of order, because there is a motion that is on the floor for tabling to have this for clarification.
At some point during this meeting,
Yes, it will
I
be
do not want that.
tabled.
So I will not be I'm not in favor of that. I just don't think it's appropriate.
Well, and that's we're just going on the floor. The motion that's on the floor for tabling to postpone, not to table the discussion, to allow the attorney to review the necessary documents in the question. And that motion was made for tabling to rehear this at the end of the meeting by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. Is there discussion further on tabling? If there is not, Gloria, if you can roll call vote on tabling the approval, so to allow the attorney to hear this or to review the information.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena,
No.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Trustee Nevada,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses and 1 no.
Okay, thank you very much. So the approval of the ordinance 2025-01 has been tabled to allow legal to review that. That does allow us to move forward with other items on our agenda while we review that information.
Yeah,
So with that, under
I'm not sure.
item number 7, action and consideration, new business approval of PZHAC case 062026 Avenida de Mesilla, submitted by the town of Mesilla, requesting approval to install a commemorative sign at Commemorative Park in the historic residential zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevades. We'll open it up for discussion. And we do have members that are here to also do a presentation. So I apologize that I don't have it up on the screen. So I meant to, I just didn't get to that side there.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry Wallace, for the record. Thank you for allowing us to come out tonight. This started off as a class project in the fall of 2023, in a public history class at MSU. Winter Mays, who's present, was a student that came up with a historic marker as part of the New Mexico Women's Historic Marker Initiative for Mary Daniels Taylor. And so it's part of the packet. It's like 18 pages, starts on page 50. I think it's on 16. Sorry, I need some coffee. For that discussion. Part of the initiative is an application. The application actually changed from the moment that we did this project. It changed last September. Initially on the old application, you could have up to 160 words, it's now down to 100. So there's actually 10 actual, there's 10 questions on the application now. There used to be 5. And one of the two, we need approval on 2 things, and that's why we're here tonight. One is a designation point within the community, which will be a commemorative park. And the other is approval from the town. And so where we started off before we came here tonight is we got permission from the family. We worked with the family. We gave them 7 different drafts of potential marker language. You see the one that the family selected within the packet. And so the next step would be, after we get approval, is I've already opened up discussions with the Department of Cultural Affairs and Spanish, who are on the subcommittee of the marker initiative, and he's approving, once the town approves, to look at a draft of our application, just to make sure that we have checked all the boxes on that. Once that's approved there, it will go to the Department of Transportation. They will then approve where the sign will go based upon the application. And so, there's still some steps, but before we can advance it to the next stage, we just need approval from the town now in order to send that in on the application.
So this project was born out of a class project?
Yeah.
No, commend you for that.
Thanks. It's actually the student's work. I'm just up there being so,
Well, I commend the student too.
yeah. So she, in addition to this, she wrote an 18-page paper on Mary Daniels Taylor that's up for publications consideration as well. So it's actually a large project.
Trustees, any other questions or discussion?
I think it's great.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion, trustees? No? Gloria, if you would roll call vote, please. With motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Nevades.
Trustee Nevada,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 48.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of PZHAC case 062026. So we will be collaborating and communicating here soon. Next item on the agenda is PZHAC case 062030 for 2410 Calle de Parian, submitted by Mr. Tom Hutchinson for La Posta, requesting approval for small business expansion and parking lot improvements in the historic commercial zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. We will open it up for discussion. Mr. Salazar, if you can give us the background.
Good evening, Mayor, and Board of Trustees. This is a case that was brought to the planning and zoning last meeting. And in this case number 062030, it is located at 2410 Calle de Parian, submitted by Mr. Tom Hutchinson. He is here tonight. La Posta requested approval for small building expansion and parking lot improvements. This case was reviewed by the commission for a historical appropriateness. We did have a work session prior to the case being heard in our last meeting, last Monday, and it was approved. The only condition that I read here off the notes was the purpose of the addition was approved for it to be a kitchen expansion of the restaurant. Along with that expansion or that addition is also a parking lot, modifications and improvements, if you want to call it that, kitty corner from La Posta. And there are some plans in the packet to reflect that, some renderings, pictures, and such. Again, this was reviewed by the commissioner last meeting, it was approved unanimously. Again, providing that the addition is officially inspection use. I stand by any questions.
Mayor,
Trustee.
thank you. So again, the permit application states small building expansion and the parking lot improvement, but the plans reflect addition 1 and addition 2. This just says one room, one small building.
Where, trustee Johnson, we're in the plan. Which,
It's not numbered.
All the pages are numbered.
And if it is extremely microscopic. So yeah, so I'm seeing the parking lot, yeah, and then I see 2 additions. My other comment is that I brought this up last time, is that it's not signed off by Public Works, the fire department, or the state, or yourself. Yet we had a previous case this evening that for renovation on a home, that all 4 signatures were obtained. But again, I brought this up last time and my concern with that. And now I'm seeing plans for 2 buildings.
Mr. Mayor, trustee Johnson, it was reviewed by the department heads, city, fire, and myself. It's not in the packet, I'm not exactly sure why it's not in the packet, but I can obtain that copy. It was sent out again to all the department heads for the review.
Being set down and getting the signatures before it comes to us, I've expressed my concerns with that.
Now, as far as the addition, there's only going to be one additional structural expansion to this project. That's actually again where saw. This is already your elevations.
Elevation. I think that's
No.
what it's.
This is the view of.
Edition 1, edition 2.
Rendering here. She's looking at this is edition 1 and edition 2. Is this the same building? This is,
I think the one and two probably refers to diagram 1 and diagram 2.
Thank you for that clarification. And I think the fire chief wanted to say something. Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor, just to clarify a little bit about this, initial plans that were brought to me, I declined to sign. And that's because the addition is now blocking the exit from the addition, which is Springford. So that means you leave a Springford safe space into an unsprinkled space. The last time it got brought up, it was just going to be parking lot, which was going to be a waiting room only, waiting area. Now we see that the parking lot is going to be dining, so that affects the discharge for people coming out of the restaurant. The building, whether it's, however that new addition needs to be built, or however it's going to be used, it has to be sprinkled.
So you haven't signed off on this?
Not on this one. I did not sign off on the first one. And the last.
This is a safety hazard because of the points of egress.
Correct. And there's some changes in there. If you look at the way the plans are drawn, the architect did that was a storage area. So that room meets storage requirements, not kitchen requirements as part, and is part of the means of egress from the main kitchen, which is from. So that's the exit that comes out. If you look at the plans, there's a door that comes out facing east,
Mhm.
that comes out of the kitchen. So now they're going to go through that room to come out, and that has to be sprinkled. So however he decides to use that room, which we have now storage, kitchen, or dining area, 3 different ways, it's going to have to be sprinkled. If he ever wants to use it as a dining area, it's going to be sprinkled at a higher protection level than it would be as a storage area. But it's just, we have to get these things sorted out. There's so many layers in the code, and I don't know where the breakdown of communication was, but that we have to spend some time going through the building code and the fire code and looking at the existing building code versus the new building code to make sure that we're not going to end up with the, this study or your well study on how not to build a restaurant. So that's why when I saw this come up and I was looking through it, there's obviously some things in the plans that don't make sense. Your addition 1, addition 2, storage versus how the other ways we can see how it's going to be used. My suggestion, I can't tell you all the vote, is to table this until we have time to vote.
And I guess you bring up another concern that it went to P&Z without getting the same signatures and was voted on it 4-0 unanimously. So it sounds like they didn't have this information, or, and again, it states in the ordinances that the site plans have to be signed off and they have to be present. So I continue to be just very frustrated.
The note from P&Z says that they were told that they were signed off by the so that's what they say. They saw that everything was signed off. So I don't know where that breakdown was. But there's clearly a breakdown of communication that we can work on. I'll take the blame for it. So I'm not saying exactly, but I didn't know this one was coming up. I still have the original plan saved on my computer because I wanted to compare them when something else came up. I have the original email where the declination of sign was sent, and so I want to see that. So I just want to make sure that we're doing things the right way.
Thank you for your due diligence because it's safety. Yeah. I would like to amend and make a motion. Well, let me let other people have discussion. I'm sorry. I bypassed that.
I'm ready for amendment.
I would like to make a motion to the amendment that we postpone this case until the fire chief and all the other interested parties can get together and
Sign off.
I guess make sure this is solidified.
Motion on the floor. Johnson Burek for all the document. In Nevadas, we will open it up for discussion on the postponement. This case, if there is any further discussion.
I think we've gone over what needs to be corrected, and so if it's brought forward with the corrections, then we can act on it. I mean,
Mayor, if I may, I wasn't here in the last meeting for PNC. I did put the packet together for Anderson presenting to PNC. I do recall, as Chief White mentioned about the first plan and some of his concerns. Shared some emails. I also sent to his engineer to make sure that those were addressed. Again, as Chief White mentioned, I don't know what happened in between or some kind of breakdown in communication, but my understanding is the issue. So that they'll put together all findings that can get.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar.
Thank you, Eddie.
Motion on the floor for postponement by Trustee Johnson Burek, seconded by Trustee Nevadas. Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much for the approval of postponement of PZHAC case 062030 for 2310 Calle de Parian. That will be brought forward as soon as the requirements by the trustees are met. Next item on the agenda, item C, and that is not applicable. Oh, that got sorry on that. Holy moly, that was previous. Moving forward on to item D, discussion for EMS services, the county agreement and positions. Fire Chief, if you would step forward as well here on this. So as it's been brought up in previous discussions, or not discussion, in note of at the end for department head comments, that there is an agreement that is with AMR that is no longer or soon to be going out of play, and so that means that entities will be assuming the responsibility of the services that were provided by AMR. What the county, in short, and Chief, I'll let you talk on this, but just in short, the county has provided us an opportunity and an agreement here where they will help fund two positions plus any type of extra costs in training, equipment, so on and so forth, as it's noted in the agreement for this upcoming in this fiscal year. In that the positions are also because the chief has been working on this as well at my request. That's why we have the positions in there as noted. And as that they would just need to be formatted to meet the current format of all of the rest of our job descriptions as we have approved of as of last year. The biggest part of this overall is that there needs to be some sort of capacity building that would happen for this and in that discussion on that, because while we would be receiving the support and funding from the county this fiscal year, we wouldn't necessarily have the potential of receiving that funding next fiscal year. Not saying that it wouldn't be available, but I've been told that this is pretty much the year to get it done and figured out. The one thing that is good that comes out of this in helping to potentially build that capacity and in doing that on our part is that the county has also stepped in to say that they would help us with all of the medical billing side as it is done by our department. So we would have revenues coming back to the town in the form of medical billing that would help with taking care of a portion of the cost of the positions that would be created with this. So with that, I'll turn it over to Fire Chief. I'll let you give a little bit more information on that, and then we can open it up for further discussion with the board.
Mayor and board, so to, I guess, reiterate what we discussed last time for the audience, the current primary 911 transport is American Medical Response EMR, and they have been not fulfilling their end of the contract that they signed 2 years ago. They requested additional funding to be able to fulfill the contract, and the primary agencies, we're kind of there, we're the smallest entity in that meeting. The primary entities that are funding that said, why are we going to pay them more money to do less work? We can do this cheaper, which we've all been planning on. When they signed that contract, we all started planning on having to pick up the 911 transport in the county. So that's city, county, us, and some departments that are all, we've been building vehicles, depth, and people, and everything else. Do that. So when AMR said they're going to basically draw a line in the sand, give us 1 week or give you 120-day notice, it was agreed to accept the 120-day notice, which is September 21st at 7 o'clock. They will no longer be the primary 911 response unit. As it is now, they're still, their employees see writing on the wall, they're all jumping ship and going somewhere else. So they're becoming less and less effective as it goes on now. So now you realize that they're putting in a fair amount of money towards this contract. And Assistant County Manager Steve Lopez offered, as they could pass, that a certain portion of the money would be given to the other entities, including the county. So county hired, Las Cruces hired some of our fire and the CO fire to help us build our ability to carry this forward. Because if we're going to have an ambulance running all the time, I need people to sell that truck. So if we can at least get 2 people, and if you look at the way we build the job descriptions, we build it for the paramedic, intermediate, or basic, and set them up equivalent to codes, deputy 1, deputy 2, that gives an additional layer for promotion or whatever we need to. If we had 2 paramedics that came in, we would use up the bulk. If we started this on July 1st, we would use up the bulk of $150,000, about $6,000 left in the full-time budget for any other expenses that need to come out. The money that was being given to us as a grant, if we choose to accept it, covers salaries and any benefits that you go with that, uniforms, equipment, and training. So we're already paying for uniforms. So I'm not going to spend any money on that. If we get 2 paramedics, we'll find a way to split them up so we get better coverage and have volunteers for them on the other side. The only other side of this that's going to impact my budget is to bill and some medical transport. We have the DOT license now, and the DOT requires a DOT physical, which is about $1,000 per person to drive that truck.
Yeah.
So we'll have to pick that up somehow. But in the long run, I think we'll be able to build this capacity to continue paying these people. It is not my wish to hire 2 people and then on June 31st of next year say, okay, we're out of money, you're fired. I don't want to do that. So it's a big priority to try and get a license so that we can be put in that county billing system and start recovering some of the funding that we're spending. I don't anticipate to do anything like AMR does, where they're chasing people around with lawyers. I want to run our system similar to Las Cruces, where they try and get paid. If there's insurance, they cover it. And if they don't hear back after 1 or 2 week letters, they just stop chasing people. It's not worth the time and energy and that publicity of chasing people for $5. So that's what I foresee now. But the budget may point of view on that, but that's how I prefer doing that. any questions on this, funding, how we use it?
Oh, this seems huge for the whole county, losing, losing the emergent paramedic, I mean, the EMTs, right? I mean, it's kind of scary, really. So, yeah, so we have to have a plan. If you only get, I mean, you're saying if you get paramedics, it'll be the top of the salary chain, but you may not. You may get one of each. But what are you thinking scheduling wise, Mike? I mean, I know some of you are trained somewhat.
Well, scheduling wise, initially, we just planned both of our calls in Monday through Friday. For
They
whatever
do?
reason, that is because of
Okay.
the people that come to town, businesses that close at 5 o'clock, all of our phone calls at that time. So if we had 2 EMTs or an intermediate in EMT or even a paramedic in EMT, we put them on that Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay.
Captain Morris and I would fill in as needed, because we're salary, so you can abuse us at however you want. And the volunteers would also be filling in the, first part of what you said about losing the ambulance response, because we've been losing them for years.
Right.
That's why our transfer point has gone from 8 3 years ago to, we're gonna hit 200 this year. And that's because they're just not available, and that's with the county putting an ambulance, the rescue at every aid station. The city putting 3 more. They already have 4, they're gonna have 7 out of their aid stations are gonna have the rescue response.
That's great.
And we're gonna be helping each other out, so if our rescue's already out running a call, and I don't have anybody else to run that call, we're gonna build the response matrix where who's the next one, who's closest. So, last row would be station 12. You see it in middle school, probably be station 3 or station 2 from the city. So that's how we would build that out, where, okay, MC is not available, who's second, or station 3 is not available, MC will come in up to Valley or whatever and cover part of that area, so that we're taking care of each other. The third layer that builds into that is that the company, AMR, is not going away. They want to stay in the area. They just want to do interfacility transfers because this is guaranteed payment. So it's a hospital, and it's part of the system. If you have somebody sitting in a bed or laying in a bed in the hospital that needs to be in Albuquerque or El Paso, that bed is taken up until they get transferred. So then the next person coming into the emergency room is sitting in the emergency room waiting for a bed. So it's still part of the system. They're just not doing the quote unquote full 911 stuff. They've also asked to be part of, to sign MOUs with every department to be backup 911, which every city that is handling their own fire-based EMS has that agreement with local providers. So if you were in El Paso Fire couldn't get to you because they were already at, a bus accident or whatever. Elite or Life Ambulance would be coming in as the backup 911 response. So that capacity in the system is being evaluated and built. And I have a meeting with AMR on Thursday to discuss what they want to do and how they want to help us.
Okay. So scheduling is kind of 8 to 5, and you cover with the actual EMT paramedic.
It depends on who we get, and when we say we get 2 paramedics, maybe we overlap them or
And then,
on weekends. It's going to be very fluid because this is new. And I
right.
expect to make mistakes.
Yeah. And the way you respond right now, knock on wood, I haven't had to call you, so I don't know, is that right now you guys usually arrive first before anybody else. I mean, so would you be calling them if you saw need for them then?
When you meet
I mean, yeah, I mean, no, not AMR. You know how AMR comes later right now. I mean, you guys get there first usually, or that's what happened in Las Cruces for us at the schools. The fire department would get there first. AMR would get there later. I mean, depending on what they had available, how far they were, the decision was not made initially to call AMR. It was made later. I mean, at some point during the.
Can I correct that for
Sure.
So if you call 911 for a medical emergency, if you call 911 for almost anything except for like a robbery or somebody stole your bicycle, you're probably gonna get a fire truck along the way.
Well, yeah, that's what we
So
always
you get
got.
a fire truck,
Right.
and if it's a medical emergency, you're going to dispatch an ambulance. That's just the way it is. But the reason AMR comes later is that there are so few of them that they're probably, when I went on my rides for my intermediate, we went from El Paso to Oregon and back to Chaparral.
Right.
40-minute drive each night.
Right.
So it's very, very slow, but they turned their dispatch. So what's happening right now is if we get a medical call right now, we're gonna look at the data we have, the information that we want to phone, and if we have a medical unit or an AMR ambulance en route, I'll just get my pickup truck and go straight there. Or the fire truck that's sitting in the station, people say, on it, you know, but if I look at it, if there's no AMR, we'll usually go straight to the station, grab the rescue, it's in 2 o'clock in the morning, and then go to the patient.
Okay.
A bit longer, unless there's somebody sitting there at the station ready to.
Well, that's what I was asking, how
Yes,
that
there's
would
always
work.
somebody bringing an ambulance.
Right. I mean, I just know that it was kind of a, I called them myself, I mean,
It's kind of a layered response.
right, a layered response. And sometimes it was,
Happening at the same time. You just don't see it.
yeah, well, that's what I meant. If that would kind of change a little, if you guys are responding
I think we
immediately.
mentioned it the last time. I think this is a good thing for the 911 system in the county.
You
It's
did,
not that it's anything wrong with AMR, it's just their business.
right.
And they have to turn a profit. And so as soon as they're done, they show it to you, and you're like, oh, I don't really feel it. I fell down, I got hurt, but I don't want to go to the hospital. Okay, sign here and leave. And we'll, if it were us, or any other firefighter, we'd probably stay a little while and talk to you about, hey, let's get some socks with the gritty dots on them so you don't fall next time, right? So that we try and prevent that from happening again. So I think in the long run, because we're not driven by profit, we spend a little bit more time and be advocates for the patients. But it's gonna be a rough 6 months to 2 years or so before we get our feet under us and really figure out how to make this work.
And we got to figure out how to make that permanent. I mean, make sure that people are getting paid,
Yes, ma'am.
that we can
That's-
hire
that's
people.
My biggest concern, I do not ever require somebody. At least not for money, I mean, not doing their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to come up with the funding after the first year somehow. I mean, it could come in many different ways, but we have to keep that in mind.
Correct.
Yes.
Mayor?
Trustee.
So in looking at the job descriptions, I see that there's, some obvious difference in the knowledge, skills, and abilities. So I just want to ask you, because I know the basic, you just need, your EMT basic just needs the basic license. Your intermediate, obviously the intermediate license, and then the paramedic license. But I see that you're only asking for 1 year of required experience. Are you comfortable with that for the paramedic and the intermediate? I mean, I was thinking of maybe at least 2 or 3 years for the more advanced.
So the way I look at that and the way we all, because there were several heads that were involved in putting this together, is that you're not likely to be at a paramedic level without any experience. But your basics are gonna come right out.
They're going to be entry level.
And they're coming straight out of school and needing a job.
Right.
But I prefer if they had some experience before we hired them.
Oh, I agree with that,
That's why we have
absolutely.
the 1 year.
But for all the others,
Correct. Well, the others,
like I said, they're going to be skilled, experienced.
And they'll have
Gotcha.
that time under their belt. We also are paying better than they were getting at AMR. We have that benefits that they were getting at AMR. We're not the highest paid in the area in any way, but that was looking at the funding that was being provided to us and we're trying to attract the best people we can, hoping to attract from within the department, people that already have an attachment.
Exactly.
Department. We have medics, we have a medic that's already expressed interest, and we have one that's in medic school right now that's expressed interest. So, that possibility is, and they both have tons of experience. So that would just be a non-issue if that ended up happening.
Okay, thank you.
Worried about that, yeah.
Trustees, any other questions or discussion as it pertains to this? Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. So next item on the agenda, item E for approval, is our Doña Ana County agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Bjork. And I will open it up for discussion on the agreement as it's been provided by the county. If there is any. Seeing as there is none, a motion on the floor for approval by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Bjork. Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Excuse me, yes.
trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of our agreement with Doña Ana County for the public safety grant to the town. Next item on the agenda is approval of the EMS positions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Bjork. And I will open it up for discussion. And I will note that these will be edited slightly because as it's been noted, is that they're done in the format for posting, but we will change it and edit it to meet the current formatting standards of our current job descriptions. Is there any other discussion? Seeing as there is none, motion on the floor for approval by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Bjork. Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
trustee Nevares,
Yeah. Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of the EMS positions as they have been presented. Next item on the agenda is approval of resolution 2025-43 for FY 2024-25 fourth quarter.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. I will open it up for discussion, if any. Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
trustee Nevares,
Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
trustee Cadena,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-43 for FY 24-25 fourth quarter. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2544 for FY 25-26 final operating budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. I will open it up for discussion, if any. Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
trustee Cadena,
Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-44 for our fiscal year 25-26 final operating budget. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2025-48 for budget adjustments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Cadena. We'll open it up for discussion. Seeing as there is no discussion, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cadena,
Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-48 for budget adjustments. Next item on the agenda is approval of resolution 25-47 for holidays.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, seconded by Trustee Johnson Bjork, and we'll open it up for discussion. Seeing as there is no discussion, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
trustee Cadena,
Yes.
trustee Johnson Burr,
Yes.
trustee Nevares,
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4-0.
Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2025-47 concerning the town's holidays. Going back before we go into public input to the item that was tabled, Number 6, old 6B, old business approval of ordinance 2025-01 for the Doñana County Magistrate Court jurisdiction designation. The motion to table was on the floor by Trustee Nevadas, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick, and the motion was tabled. So we will need a motion to bring this item back to the table to be reheard on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to be reheard for approval of ordinance 2025-01 on the floor by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. And I will, on the table, the motion was to get clarification by legal on that. So legal, if you would, please, sir.
Mayor, board trustees, I did do some research on the definition and sort of how the supermajority works with the 3/4. And let me just say that obviously I understand how fractions work. 3/4 is 100%. 3/5 is 60%. But I did some research because I know that there was a section. So I looked in Chapter 3, Article 12 of the Mexico statutes. Those have to do with the governing body and how it's structured for municipalities, particularly for municipalities that are not home shortly around the charter. So essentially this body. So under MSA 1978, section 312(2) is an echo as amended in 2024. I'll read it. Pardon, because I'm getting used to my bifocals, I'm sorry. In those municipalities with a mayor council form of government, when there is a requirement that a certain fraction percentage of the members of the entire governing body, or all the members of the governing body, or the entire membership of the governing body, or some other similar language, other than the requirement of a simple majority, vote for the measure. So essentially, we have here, this is by statute, not by ordinance, but it counts. The mayor shall not be counted in determining the actual number of votes needed, but he shall vote to break a tie voted as provided in section 311(3). And that is basically, that gives you the mayor the vote time majority power. So that's what section 3, MSA section 311(3) is. Unless he has declared a conflict of interest. In this case, you explicitly stated with no conflict of interest. So what this means is this: since the mayor doesn't count, he's not counting to determine the actual numbers of votes needed, that fraction doesn't change. The fraction is still 4, but your vote still counts to break the tie. So therefore, I think I need to answer the question. And I also found some attorney general opinions that kind of support that. I can break that up.
Does that help clarify, trustees? Any questions?
No, I mean, you had provided that to us already, so
Okay.
it's just
It's the same, yeah, same.
Motion on the floor for approval by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. Without any further discussion, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Johnson Burr,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Cadena,
No,
Trustee Nevada,
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez,
And I do serve as a tiebreaker in this, and I vote yes.
Mayor roll call 3 yeses and 2 noes.
Okay. The approval of the ordinance 2025-01 is approved. So with that, the next step in this process will be to submit the paperwork to the Attorney General's office, and we will ensure that it reads with all of the necessary dates and changes. With that, moving forward, item number 10, public input. This is where the public is invited to address the board as allowed by the chair. So remember, 3-minute time limit. If you step up to the podium, please state your name for the record.
In the Air Force, where I'm from, I'm not sure it's kind of embarrassing to what I saw today. Because as trustees, you need to learn how to communicate, how to work together, do your homework, come prepared, and make sure you do right by the community, for the community. Leave your personal feelings at the door. Do not bring any drama in here, just handle business and do what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ontiveros.
Lucas Woodruff. I'm a CEO resident of about 2 years now. Also, not that it matters, an HR professional on the federal contracting side. My apologies for not providing public comment earlier, as I thought we were all on the same page regarding fiscal responsibility. As government elected officials, I feel like your North Star should be, does this decision protect local businesses, help with tourism, enhance infrastructure, or provide physical or financial security to our community? Over the past 2 years, I've heard a great deal from people about keeping the CIA historic while protecting local businesses. I quickly learned that people take more pride in their lineage versus the actual health and progression of their community. When the trustees were running for office, I asked the question of what you were most proud of regarding your accomplishments for this town. You, Trustee Johnson, couldn't list one project you were most proud of. I believe you said something along the lines of installing handicap accessible sidewalks. You said yourself, you sat in that seat for 11 and a half years. The biggest aspect that was brought today was whether or not we keep the municipal judge. If we look at the past 10 years of you being in that seat, we would have paid out a conservative estimate of $1.5 million. This is community changing money. What's mind-boggling is that you support this action, but we still don't have fixed water fountains on the plaza. Your lack of vision makes me feel discouraged. What is more disturbing is that our town is okay with this lack of pride and accountability. With us looking at the cost savings from this particular action at hand, this should really excite everyone about what we could do to incorporate positive change to our community. Hopefully this serves as a reminder that you can still create real positive change in the town you love. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woodruff. Other public comment?
Garcia, live here my life. Thank you two ladies for saving Mesilla and reminding us why we're here today. Thank you, you two. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Any other public comment?
It was my understanding that our code stated that the mayor cannot be voting, so shall not. And I was explained by the attorney, but looking at the simple math, 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. That's not 3/4, 3/4 is 0.75.
Thank you, Ms. Witter. Any other public comment? Seeing as there is none, we'll move into our next order of business, which is Board of Trustee Committee reports and liaison updates. Trustee Nevares.
I attended the Friends of the Taylor Mesilla site, the last board meeting. They have a lot of activity going on, and they're planning to do quite a few things this fall. One of the things is Family Day on, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's August 23rd. So there'll be an all-day event on the plaza with exhibitor, not all day. Sorry, that's why I was looking at you for the specific. Can you tell me what time? Okay. Yes. So it those are the time frames for this. I think they would welcome everybody to attend that event. I also met with the director of economic community development. So we went over, current projects and we had discussions on them. But that's what I have to cover.
Thank you, Trustee Nevadas. Trustee Johnson Bjork.
No committee reports.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson Bjork. Trustee Cadena.
I don't have any reports. I missed that meeting, but Jerry was there, so that was good.
Thank you, Trustee Cadena. Mayor Pro Tem Merrick.
We have MPO in a couple weeks. We didn't have a meeting this month, so I have no committee reports.
Okay, thank you, Trustee or Mayor Pro Tem Merrick. I did have myself, South Central Regional Transit District board meeting that I did chair in the absence of Commissioner Sanchez, who is the chair on that. In discussion is discussion of ridership for the area, in specific for Mesilla. What we saw is almost 900 rides in the month of June, which is an increase, an exponential increase or year over year. So, which is great to see that many people using the bus system. We did go through approving handbook updates and procurement policies for the transit district. And then there was also a new team introduction because they are working on building their capacity as well in several different things. Other meetings per se to also report on. There was a Municipal League IPRA training that I did attend. It was virtual. Good information that was provided there. A meeting with the Parks and Recreation Division Director for the state parks here at the Bosque, and it was concerning many different parts of the parks, but also concerning our MOU that we have in place with them for our substation that is at the Bosque, which we will be reviewing again in the future. Meeting with the town engineers for planning and updates on projects through capital funding and getting an initial planning started that will open up into public planning moving forward. Review of financial software suite and upgrades, a meeting for that for the town because we are running an operating system for the town that is now out of date. So it was reviewing that and the potential upgrades and the costs behind that with that. So I'm hoping to bring that to you at the next meeting. We did have, along the same line, I did have a meeting with a company called Square 9 Document Solutions that is a document solution to scan documents for the town, minutes, agendas, all of our paperwork, and it works with AI capabilities so that it makes it easily searchable once that document is PDF uploaded into the hard drive for us to search that information. That will help out, hopefully bring that forward to help out with staff there, but we can also open up portals on that to where it is open to the public as well. So some of that information, as long as it is redacted to the degree that it needs to be, would be available to the public as well, potentially. And then my last meeting was an all hazards mitigation planning meeting with the Office of Emergency Management, and they're working on their and I forget, they do it every three years, I believe, for mitigation planning for the entire community. So we have that on there. So I those are my meetings that I attended and took place in the past couple of weeks. Next item on the agenda is Board of Trustee and staff comments. We'll turn it over to Marshall.
I don't have much. We'll be participating in National Night Out on August 5th, which is held at downtown in Las Cruces. They've put together a really big one with all surrounding agencies, so we're going to join them this year. We should have a few of us out there, and I'm trying to get the CSIs out there, put on a demonstration. School zones, first day of school went well according to SROs, minus the shelter in place for the storm that rolled in for the high school and middle school. But other than that, no major issues on university. Thankfully, they got that done before school started. I just want to remind everyone of the new school hours. Elementary school is 8 a.m. to 2:40 p.m. Middle school changed to 9:15 to 4:15, so that's going to extend the school zones on Avenida and University. And then high school or Rio Grande Prep is 8:45 to 3:55 p.m. And then we have 4 major school zones, the major one on Avenida and University, the one on Caide Sur in front of the Elementary, the University one, those all 3 have lights. The least known one is RGPI on Bouts, which is just by sign, but it still is an active school zone even if there aren't flashing lights. So just be cautious of that. We're gonna start hammering those here in the near future. So I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Fire Chief.
Mayor and board, first, thank you for approving that. It's pretty monumental for the town, so it's exciting. As far as everything else going on, we had the flooding in Vado last week. We were able to provide 3 units to help the county. 2 were in the flooding area and 1 was spreading calls here in the north as they moved a lot of resources from county and city. We're a lot of, if I remember right, 58 people were successfully evacuated from Swan Street, which was especially hard hit by boat. We carried 4 in our rescue, and we went to another street, forgot the name of the street. So it was a long night. On that, rains are coming in again today, tomorrow, and the day after. We filled 100 sandbags a few days ago, and I even got calls from people in the county asking if they could come get some, and I said, please, they're here. So we were down to about 20 or 30 today, so the crew was out there starting at 5 o'clock. They waited for it to cool off a little bit. They were filling more sandbags. If anybody needs sandbags, please go get them. If you're capable of filling a sandbag yourself, ask us and we'll give you empty sandbags, and you can have, I have hundreds of those. It's just, it takes a lot of effort to fill them, and then they sit there and rot away in the sun. So they're under the blue tarp on the corner of Santiago and Oeste. Lastly, just found out today that 2 of our members were accepted into the paramedic program. One is Captain Morris. So,
Oh, congratulations.
So 2 more paramedics to help out.
Awesome.
Hey.
Other than that, just business as usual. Yes, sir.
I want to comment that, thank you and your staff for everything that you do. I mean, you do quite a bit for our community and for the surrounding area. Thank you.
Well, you and the town are working to us, sir.
Oh. Thanks, Chief. That was nice.
Nope.
Great. Thank you for the good job. Well done. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Storga. I know you got some of the best updates. Everybody always loves your updates.
Mayor, Board of Trustees, I don't really have too much either. I'll just touch up on some of the stuff that's going on right here on Calle de Santiago. They are putting the final touches on there as far as base course. We did get a little bit of a slight halt there, only due because they would have to go test something else, but they were there full force today, and they should be getting pavement put down tomorrow, so we will see a little bit of heavy traffic going down through there. So that'll be a project that's going to be coming to an end. And then over to University, I did scan. I don't know if the mayor scanned over the update, the monthly update. Well, if he didn't scan the monthly update, I did put a few out there for the public to have out there. But they did change their way that they're doing right now. They got everything is back to a one-way, just squaring off from Avenida Union to South Main. McDowell right now is not open, but here did get a second update here today that is gonna also be changing a little bit of what they did on this first one, which is they will be opening up McDowell because Bowman is gonna be closed between NM State Road 101 and West Union from July, which is today, the 28th, through Friday the 1st, and occasionally for the next month, so they can, I guess, do what they're gonna do over there. What that is, I'm not really too sure yet. I will get with Nicholas tomorrow for an update on that one. But you know, they do have the routes here with the, you know, I have the papers down there, so you guys can, I'm more than welcome to grab one and see what it looks like. That I mean, that if you haven't gone by there yet, the project looks pretty good.
Great.
And I stand by for any questions.
It does look very good. I mean, I can't wait until it's finished.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Mr. Salazar, Community Economic Development.
Good evening again, Mayor, trustees. I've mentioned before, I was out of the office all last week. But some of the things we are working on that's different from last time, we're still continuing to work on the lodge tax and the Airbnbs and record management. So as the mayor mentioned, work at Square 9, I think it's a very promising program, and that was exciting when I did hear about it and was in the meeting during the presentation. But I did speak with a volunteer. She's scanning some files and she's helping us out. And one thing that we're working on is some of the short-term rentals and business licenses still haven't been renewed. I'm gonna get tomorrow, I'm gonna get that list from them to put together, and we're going to work diligently with the code enforcement so we can go out there and have some of these businesses that are operating without license. Also, I'm working with the attorney, Mr. Cabello, here regarding the franchise agreement that I talked about, mentioned a few minutes ago. This is regarding Ripple Fiber, I believe, I think it's called Ripple Fiber, I believe it is. Anywho, they are looking to provide some service for some internet for the community. And we're again putting together this contract agreement. Hopefully things go well. We're looking for to give the public safety building, the community center, and town hall free fiber optics. So we don't have to pay for it. Obviously, it's a lot faster, a lot better. And I think for this public safety, more than anything, it's important for them to be able to have those resources. And other than that, I stand by for the questions. One last thing, speaking about codes, I'm getting more and more involved in codes. Officer Garcia, today I did speak with a gentleman on Snow Road. There was a complaint about that, but securing that building. I went ahead and followed up on that. The building is secure. That goes into Mateo. Also, Ms. Fritz, I spoke with her today. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, 9:30, I'll be meeting her over at the end of Cura and Calle del Oeste. I believe, you know, there, when I first started working, we see all these branches. Not even branches, they're trees, they're huge. They're all dried up and all falling down. That is just an eyesore. So again, finally got them to agree to cooperate, and they're going to start cleaning that up. So that's kind of exciting as well. Again, lastly is just the business license. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar. Ms. Maya, Finance. Nothing today? Okay. Trustee Nevares.
I don't have anything additional.
Trustee Johnson Burek.
One thing too, I wanted to mention regarding the court case too, and in advance, of course, Mayor Pro Tem and Marshall, this is not personal at all. You know how I felt about the concern of a perceived conflict of interest and perception of impropriety. I guess I was also any potential legal liabilities, and that the Marshall was on the committee, and just maybe should have been a situation in which to recuse oneself, but again, that's up to the legal and, to determine. The other thing, I received a call about the 5 o'clock meeting time. And I don't recall that being communicated that we're going to change it to 5, because someone mentioned that there had to be an ordinance for it. So I just wanted to ask about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson Burek. Trustee Cadena.
Yes, I just wanted to thank all the members of the staff and fire and safety for all the work you're doing. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Trustee Cadena. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah. Just to address the concern between me and the marshal, we keep those things separate, especially in these moments, hence me attending the meeting separately from him, because we decided to keep work in private separate. We also went over a lot of those guidelines with mayor and the lawyer to make sure we covered all bases to protect ourselves from any liability. So anytime we discuss any town business, it'll be either at his office or at town hall or anything we have to discuss. And in this case, I only attended the meeting so that there was no conversation elsewise anywhere else. So just to clarify that part. I'm also just slightly disappointed because I feel like as a board, we're just being slightly disrespectful to each other at points. And I mean, if we have issues with whether it's something on the agenda or the dates and times and stuff like that, I think those things we can do prior to coming to meeting, so that we can fix those, because those things do happen. And even though we've built our staff to be bigger, I think we can address some of those minuscule things in the office prior to coming here. Like Eddie said, he wasn't here in the office the last week, so he wouldn't have known. So to his knowledge, he had everything together. And I think we should just give them at least some respect to approach them and say, hey, there's something missing. Can we find it? And I don't like the bullying that's happening to people who haven't been here for a long time or aren't residents, and vice versa. I think we can have different opinions, and that's what I love about the board that we have now. All of our opinions are very, very different, and we all view things differently, but that's great because there's things that Johnson Burek sees that I don't catch sometimes, and that's awesome. There's things that Viviana finds, that Nevada's finds, and I think that helps us have a more transparent board because we're able to see these things and catch these things when there's mountains of information in front of us. And I think sometimes we get a little carried away and we're a little bit disrespectful to each other. And I think that's just something we need to work on and not take it so personally, if that makes sense. But other than that, I have no comments.
Well, Mr. Mayor, may I comment on? I mean, from the gentleman speaking, that's the worst thing that we would want to project out to the public, that I think, and also, I've heard that before where it's more about lineage than moving forward. And I respectfully also, I think that it's more complicated than that, but I really appreciate you guys coming and expressing your thoughts because we need to hear that too. I think that with the time constraints that we have, getting these things on Friday afternoon and coming in here that it's sometimes very difficult to get to people to do, to point out little things about the minutes or the dates or whatever, and that people do, that this is a forum to do it. It's along with the Opens Meetings Act. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with lively debate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that what we're doing is disrespectful. I don't know if our voices seem drama-ish, but I tried to avoid drama myself. I mean, I worked as a nurse for 40 years and so forth. So talk about drama. I see people at their lowest, and so I try to avoid that at all costs. So I hope that, I don't know what we can do to improve your impression of us, but I don't think that us disagreeing or having discussions openly, there's nothing wrong with that. I think we as elected officials have to have thick skin, because we are going to hear those things, and we have to take them as constructive criticism, not as a personal attack on us, right? And I appreciate it, because I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I need a mirror or something to keep myself from looking drama-ish, but I'll work on it. I promise you, if that's the impression I gave. We are passionate, like she said. I think we all come from a different place. We were different professionals. So, and I don't want to take any more time because everybody's tired. I do want to, so I totally respect what you're saying, Adriana,
Yeah.
but I also think that it's okay to bring up some of those things. I mean, because that's the only time we have. I mean, most of Stephanie has a full-time job. We never know what's happening in other people's lives, and this may be the only forum that we have to bring these things up. And I don't think anybody should take it personally. We were elected to do a job, and we can only do what we can do in the time that we have, and we're not doing it full time. So we have to give each other a lot of grace, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, I've said more than 1,000 times that I appreciate how hard the mayor has worked to move us forward since he's been the mayor as the executive, and, everything he's done. So I appreciate that to the fullest. So that's what I'd like to say, that we, it's our job to have thick skins, because we were elected. We chose to do this. We need to be able to take that. And I think bullying is a strong word when we're having lively debates. and we get emotional. Sorry. I mean, because we get emotional and passionate because we believe in having this town be the best it can be. But I'm done. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I don't mean like we shouldn't say anything. I mean, that's obviously, if something's wrong on here, we have to correct it so it's documented. I just mean the attitude in which we're approaching it sometimes gets a little heated, and I think that's something we can all work on. But I don't mean that we shouldn't say anything. That's not what I was saying. I just think we just need to be a little kinder to each other in a general aspect, not just the board, but out in public as well. But that's what I meant. Sorry. I didn't mean to be quiet.
I appreciate the feedback. I mean, I think this is good.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So a couple of things, because I continually hear, well, number one, let me go back first. Upcoming things for people to think about is that, or meetings as well, that we have is there's a monument the monument is doing a tour on this, I think is it this Wednesday, for Three Sisters in the Kitchen at 12 p.m. So I want to throw that out there in that sense for that. And I think that's important, that, communities kind of see, or our community attends that and becomes a part of that if you are free and available. I know I'll be there to be a part of that conversation and to listen in onto what Daniel has to share with that. from the monument. I do have a lodger's tax and public arts ad hoc committee coming up on Monday, August 4th at 8:30. That is open. So please, if you want to, that in a lot of these within our community, and I think that when I had that meeting with with the Parks and Rec Division director, when we met at the Bosque, it's been probably 2, maybe 3 years since I've been out to the Bosque, and I completely forget that that's in our backyard and how beautiful it truly is. We are at a point where we have uh, our Oregon Mountain Desert Peaks National Monument that is literally in our back door in our backyard. We have so many great things within our community, whether they are here in Mesilla or whether they're in Doña Ana County. And I don't think we share that enough, and I don't think we visit that enough. And I think that that's as a community as a whole. And I think we have a lot more opportunity to really share that experience. And that's my challenge. And that's where I'm going to push my team even further on this to try to share those experiences that they can experience, not just here in Mesilla, but everything else that is related. Because that's part of the conversation that I had with the Parks and Rec director there at the Bosque, is that one of his biggest concerns is getting people out there, and they don't have the traffic that necessarily goes out to that. So that's something that this community should be duly as proud of as anything else that we have in this community. And when I was talking to him and mentioning how many visitors were already going to the monument on the plaza without it even being fully open, he's like, I'll take a portion of those. So that gives us a part where, from in my mindset, especially on just getting people in and out, is why can't we work as the town to say, come and visit the town, go enjoy the monument on the plaza, go take a walk around the Bosque, come back and dine and shop and have a great experience and enjoy the beautiful history and culture that we have within our community. And that's the challenge that we have, and that's what we need to truly celebrate at the end of the day.
Mayor, real quick, in that meeting, did they mention because they don't have the advertising dollars anymore to promote?
So it's a whole bunch of different, I mean, just like how we experience it within our own community, right? So part of it is getting that word out there and getting it to the community. Part of it is because of staffing issues. They don't have enough staff. They have 2 rangers out there that work literally to work the entire park. And that's because of budget cuts and things that have happened over time. So, I mean, there's multiple things, but that's where I think that as a community, we can come together and we can piggyback off of each other and truly help to promote what is great here in southern New Mexico, or as Visit Las Cruces has truly donned it, the real New Mexico. And I think that that's the perfect example of what we have down here in southern New Mexico, is because it's about all of the communities coming together, because we have something great down here, and we need to share it and really truly. And we've invested into these projects as well already, and we will continue to invest it as long as the people are going. My biggest fear in thinking of that is that that we have this monument here that's a park that was created for that. Not even, what is that, maybe 100 miles up the road, there was a monument that was created years ago, and in having this conversation with this director, that was for the Camino Real de Tierra Adentro, that is right outside between TRC and Deming. And unfortunately, because of the location, as well as the information and the productivity in that's no longer there. It's shut down, and it's not there. So the potential of that, and us not having the funding for some of these things, is definitely there. So that's where I take that as a challenge on my part, to work with our team, to work with our community, to promote literally something that is in our community, that has been in our community for years, that is for people to enjoy outdoor recreation at that. So I challenge everybody here as well to think about that. And in the conversations, I think it's great that we have these conversations, and just in general, because we are a very prideful community, and that's the way that it is. But just as it's been brought up several times before, I think that when we look to the future and how we celebrate families and our community in the future, we need to look at not only those generational families that have been here for generations on generations, as just as Trustee Nevadas has said before, but let's look at those new community members that are here that are still a vibrant part of our community and make us unique. We won't lose sight of our cultural and historical integrity because that's what we are about. But we need to be all inclusive all around with individuals within our community, because every voice truly does matter at the end of the day. I will personally, we constantly talk about the information coming out for meetings and getting it within a timely manner, which I apologize for, but part of that is me, part of that's the team and everything that we gather and get together for the agendas and the packets. It does take time to build these, and our intention was truly to get the full packet for this meeting out to you by last Wednesday, but there were barriers that came up, and that happens naturally sometimes, especially in trying to get a lot of the data that's needed for you to have the information. But we'll get it to you, and I will work hard and make that commitment to you to try to get the packets out to you by Wednesday moving forward. That way you have that. But I will also note that as I've said before, if you're not able, even, no matter when the packet comes out, if you are not able to pick it up, or if you would like it delivered, please let us know. And it's not me necessarily personally delivering it to you, because I would prefer not to personally deliver it to you. I would have the team deliver it to you if it's during working hours. But one thing that I will say is, if you are not able to, let's say we have the agenda come out on a Friday afternoon, as it has been, and you're not able to make it to town hall to pick that packet up, but it's important that you get that information, even though it's online. I think that you reach out to me, say, hey, can I meet you or Public Works, because we have an on-call with Public Works. We have the fire department and the marshal's department, who all have access to this building, that can get that information and that packet for you. It's just a matter of reaching out and coordinating, and we'll be more than happy to get you that information in that timely fashion if it does come out at a later time. But I will make a commitment doing that, and I've actually started working on the next packet already, as I've mentioned with some of these other items in that, and I know we're moving forward in this. With that in mind, the time for meetings, I have had that. That was also brought to my attention on this, so thank you for bringing that up on that. Because as we did at the beginning of the calendar year, in choosing in the resolution, we have that set for our meetings to be regularly held on Tuesdays every second and fourth Monday of the month, starting at 6 p.m. Right? But we have had in the past meetings that have a public hearing, or that have large discussions, that have presentations, and we start the meetings at 5. And that's called by me on where we start those meetings in particular. It does not require a specific vote on that. It's dependent on what's on the agenda. This meeting, I'll be honest with you, I was going to keep it at 6, but then I felt that because there's so much discussion, it's important that I'm respectful of your time as well as our public's time, that we have that within a timely fashion. I was honestly anticipating, just as it was mentioned earlier, a lot more public participation, and I was hoping to have the public participation, that's okay. That's the way. I mean, we'll continually try to get people here regardless. But I will hold true to you that meetings will be at 6 o'clock as they are scheduled, as they are in the resolution, unless it has a specific public hearing or nature of the beast, that work session, whatever it is that needs to happen. And I will note that, just as I have in the past, as that work session or whatever it may be, with the meeting to immediately follow. So I'll make that commitment that we will continue that business as is on that. And I appreciate everything that you all do. I do think that, you know, we are a very diverse board, but to say the least, you know, and we're not going to agree on everything all the time. And really, it I think that it's really truly important that in any discussion with any item that there is, if you as the board, the governing board, do not feel that you have the necessary information or that you feel that you are being rushed, I truly do encourage you to take that moment to make the motion to postpone, to give yourself more time. There is nothing wrong with that. If you feel that that is necessary, please take advantage of that if you have that. I don't know if we do that because I do have a lot of information to you, and a lot of the information does come last minute. And I apologize about that, but I'm trying to get it to you in a timely fashion. But there again, roadblocks kind of hinder that, and we're working as hard as we can as a community, as a town, as a team to make this happen. So with that, I'll get off the soapbox. Sorry. And if there is no objection, the time is now 7:58, and I will call this meeting as adjourned. Thank you.